Hello, and welcome to episode 11 of Yapology 101. Today's episode is going to be about girls, media, and games, which is a topic I lightly touched on TikTok. Speaking of TikTok, I'm going to take this part of the video as an opportunity to plug my TikTok. So my TikTok is MOMOPILL. You can go on there, and I now have the ability to have a bulletin board. So if you follow me on TikTok and join my bulletin board, you will never miss an update on the Momoverse, what is going on, the videos I post, live streams, etc., etc. It's a great place to be. And I would also like to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe because it helps me keep doing the thing that you like that I'm doing. That thing. Yeah, that thing that you like that I'm doing. It helps me continue do that thing. What? It helps me continue doing that thing. Doo-doo, did-dat, doo-doo, did-dat. But anyways, I haven't been able to speak very well. I've had a bit of brain fog from scripting. I've literally been I've been in scripting purgatory for the last few days, trying to figure out some interesting YouTube videos for you guys, some interesting YouTube videos. But today's episode is going to be about girls, games, and media. And today I decided to dress like, what I have available, because I don't have a great variety. You probably have already seen all the clothes that I have in my closet on my channels, either TikTok or YouTube or somewhere. I'm wearing what I think encapsulates at least the aesthetic of girls' games I played growing up, and I do still play as an adult. As I think fashion is a very common genre when it comes to girls' games, I thought that this was appropriate. I'm also wearing this necklace that I got from the Lolita fashion booth at MomoCon. It's handmade, I believe. It's like a teal macaron necklace. I really like it. It's one of my favorite pieces. I've got my nails done, which you can't really see because it's so far away, but I don't actually have them done. These are press-ons from AliExpress, but they're not made in a factory or something, guys. These, and the way I applied them is kind of messy. My apologies. These are not made in a factory. These are made by a girl somewhere in China, and she makes the best nails ever, and I always buy nails from her. I have another set. They're really inexpensive, super affordable. I mean, what more could you ask for? They feel like real acrylic, like they're really thick. They last a long time. And it's hard to find a good duck nail press-on that isn't really low quality and prone to breaking. I also haven't been able to style my hair for like a week or more because the last time I styled my hair, the hair blow dry thing, it just completely short-circuited the entire electricity of both my room and then later on the entire house. So I haven't been able to do my hair, so I'm kind of rocking natural right now, which I think also is kind of encapsulating how I would have been playing girls' games growing up. But I did make a video on my TikTok about this girls' media and games and how there's a big lack in that genre, which is a huge genre. I mean, it's like all of girls' media, everything that is developmental for young girls to be consuming. While when it comes to boys' media, that seems to be the standard. You know what I mean? In our society, it's not boys' media. This is the standard. And when I posted my video, I got one of two responses. Now I'm going to start with the negativity because human beings have a negativity bias. So you're going to enjoy this. But the overwhelmingly negative sentiment on that video was that girls' media shouldn't exist because media shouldn't be gendered in the first place. Or, I don't like girls' media. I'm a girl and I've always liked boys' media, and my brother likes girls' media. You know what I mean? Like that sort of rhetoric, which I think honestly has to be from bots or people who are heavily confused on the topic of girls versus boys' media. Because it's not so much about enforcing gender roles in like, this is media for girls, this is media for boys, but rather that's the way that media is made. There's always going to be a target audience for any type of show, movie, music, TV show, animation, doll, toy, video game, there's going to be an intended audience. And it's okay to acknowledge that that is fact, because it is fact. So when we're wanting to advocate for more media that appeals to feminine hobbies or interests, that's not necessarily being all about gender roles, but trying to advocate for something that matters to you. Some women do have feminine hobbies and interests. Wow, what a shocker. It's not always something that, well, it's always forced on us, but sometimes it's a thing that we genuinely like. You know, it's not that all girls don't actually like feminine hobbies, traits, girly things. It's not true. A lot of us grow up and realize, yeah, it's not fair that that's pushed on girls, but it's also not fair that it's also pushed that, you know, that's inferior, and that's not, you know, there's a superior way to live your life and way to enjoy things, and feminine hobbies and interests are not that. That's the problem that I have with it, because I could have lied and pretended I was a tomboy, and for a little bit of time, I guess I did. But I love girls' media. I love like girly things. I love girly games. I wish there was more. And my love of these things has made me starkly aware of the fact that there is not. There is a huge lack, I would say, of girls' media and games. Especially today. I feel like in the earlier years, maybe the early 2000s when I was a kid, there was a lot more variety and options in girls' games and media and interests and things that we could indulge in as young girls. There was actually a lot of that. But it didn't really have a very long shelf life. Like, it was a few years when I was a kid. You know, there was a lot of girls' media out there, and they were making a lot more. And now they make... That was such an earth-shattering cough. Oh my goodness. But what was I saying? Now you got me forgotten. Wow. Feeling like Mark Weens. I'm really hoping that he does not send like a cease and desist for the vlog I made, because I used a picture of him. I used a picture of him in a funny way. But what was I saying? I just don't like the idea that it's inherently misogynistic or like pro-patriarchy to want to advocate for more girls' media to exist. Because girls' media, what is that? That's just media that is made with the intended audience of young girls. And a lot of women still indulge in things that they liked as young girls. It's the same thing for grown men, playing video games until they're 45 years old, balding, sitting in their mom's basement playing video games. Yeah, that's the same exact thing. Like miniature fucking, what are those things called? Tech decks, those type of things, little mini cars and stuff. Drones even is childish, you know. But when it comes to girls and feminine interests that are, they're inherently seen as childish, and to indulge in them as an adult is incredibly childish and stupid. And you know what I mean? That's kind of the view, and I don't really like that. The other version was people being like, I agree, there's not much girls media out there. There's not really a priority. No one's putting a lot of priority on the fact that more should be made, or that there's a, I don't know, like there's a gap in the market when it comes to girls media and games and such. So I was glad that there was a lot of people who understood what I was trying to say, and not reduced it down to, you want to put girls and women in a box where they can't express themselves. Because I feel like there's a misconception that expressing ourselves means liking boyish things. Like, there's no self-expression in expressing femininity in the traditional sense. And I'm not trying to say that in a way where I'm trying to promote traditional values. That's not necessarily me, or like divine feminine or masculine. I think that's stupid. I just think that sometimes girls can like girly things without it being a conservative, doing it in a conservative way. Like, you like girly things. I think that's okay. That's okay to do. You just don't take it to those extremes where you're making it, for some reason, you're making your expression of femininity weirdly political in a very vague way that makes people uncomfortable in a way where you have to identify yourself in a certain way, you know? And I think whether you misunderstand or you understand what I'm trying to say here, there is literal research about this phenomenon. I had stumbled upon this study, and this shit was, I'm pretty sure, on TikTok. I'm gonna be for real. I will look more into it because I want to make a legitimate video essay about this. It's very interesting to me. Where they put, they had a room full of girls' toys and a room full of boys' toys, and then they had like case study group of boys and girls, like maybe ages 6 to, they were really young, like 5 maybe to 7, but they were like pretty young children. And they put the boys in the girls' toys room. They wouldn't even touch it. They were like almost puking. They were like, ew, this is so gross. I'm not even going to touch it. And they were not wanting to even get close to the table of girls' toys. Visibly showing that they detested the idea of playing with a girls' themed toy. But then the girls were put in the boys' toy room, okay? And they didn't even think about it. They went straight to playing. They went straight to playing with these boy themed toys, these toys intended for a young male audience. There was no problem at all. They had no internal bias about it. It was like a toy's a toy. They really didn't see any negatively gendered thing going on there, which is what made me think about it, is a big reason in why girls' media is not really paid attention to. They don't make it. There's not a lot of demand for it, and the reason why is because girls are adaptable and they don't do things exclusively because it's gendered. Do you understand? A girl will like boy themed things, like things that are in the realm of what a boy should like. She won't even think about the fact that it's a boy's interest. She'll just like it, and it's her interest. She's interested in it, so it becomes her interest. It's a very natural way to go about things, and it's not to say that all the blame is on girls themselves, like women themselves. Oh, you're too adaptable. You're the reason why girls gaming and girls media and toys are becoming less and less prevalent in the modern world. No, that's not necessarily it. But if there's a willingness from both genders to play one type of game that is intended for a certain audience, then they're going to not really care to make games or media for the other audience, because the other audience is fine consuming, more than fine. They're ecstatic to enjoy the media of the other demographic, the other targeted demographic. And another reason why is because girls' games and media is often made pretty low quality and from a very low budget. And with low foresight, there are only a few, maybe a handful of girls' games that I can name that were actually pretty well made and well thought out. And even those have their pitfalls. And I think women do have a pretty high standard for things like that, for their entertainment. So they're, not necessarily me. I will keep playing a really shit game if it brings me a little bit of joy. But for a lot of women, they have like a bit of a higher standard. So they're thinking, why would I play these lower quality, lower standard games for women and girls when I can play the ones that are high quality, made for men and boys, just because that's how I'm going to get the highest quality and the best quality of life and the best gameplay experience and the best entertainment value. It's because the entertainment is better for boys and men. It just is. There's more effort put in because there's more of a quote unquote audience, because the audience is also women. There's for the audience for women's media, or girls' media rather, the audience is only girls, and only so many girls are going to either feel shame about being a girl and not want to indulge in girly or more feminine interests, or they're going to be into that, so they'll play it, or they're going to be into it, but it's not going to be good enough for them and they're going to move on. And this even shows in the fact that they don't really make new editions of these girls gaming. And I'm going to just like focus on girls gaming the most because I think it's the most prevalent, prevalently affected by this effect. Because, you even have it in the realm of girls' clothing. And in light of recent events, I don't really want to talk about this right now, but in the preteen market for clothing, like Justice or Limited 2, that used to exist and it's not a thing anymore. Younger girls, they wear regular adult clothing. Like, it's the same thing now. But I'm going to be talking about games because I feel like there are way more examples. It's more applicable, and you'll be able to understand it better if I just focus on in one straight line. But hold on, yeah, everybody. Let's take this break here. Zoom in on my nails. I'm gonna show you both. Is that the most it zooms? Okay, that's oh. Look at that. And that's our segue into talking more about girls' media. Now, do I think it's necessary for there to be gendered media? Maybe if gender wasn't so important in life, if gender wasn't so heavily enforced onto all of us, maybe not. But the fact that the world we live in is so heavily, incredibly gendered, it's kind of impossible for media to not have the target audience of one or another gender. It's pretty impossible at this point. I feel like a target audience could also be non-binary or transgender individuals as well. That's definitely possible. But I feel that in the traditional sense, in the sense that the mainstream world runs on, it's going to be male or female is how you're going to think about an intended target audience for a game. And the way that we're actually socialized as men and women, growing up, is through these video games, especially if you are Gen Z and you grew up on the internet raised you, or you had, an unlimited amount of screen time. You probably interacted some sort of gaming that was targeted towards whatever gender you were born as. And for me, I ran into so many types of girly flash games and quizzes and forums. I didn't really fall into any of the violent flash games or live leak type of... Oh, no. I dropped my vape. Or the type of live leak sort of material that my male peers were unfortunately falling victim to. For me, I was just playing games about baking, riding horses, dressing up, stealing kisses behind the backs of my principal or a security guard or a receptionist even. Hypnotizing boys with a love ray. What else do we got? Tons and tons of girly fashion, and I hate to say it, but home-centered activities in these games. These games felt cozy. There were quizzes, there were dress up, there was making cookies, there were all kinds of things that make you feel nice and warm, and I don't want to say steamy because that's not necessarily it, but maybe sparkly, all up inside. So these games were a strong source of comfort for me. I did come to realize that my male peers were literally playing some of the worst, most violent, most atrocious flash games of all time. So our experiences were starkly different, which I can imagine is a big reason why a lot of young boys don't want to play girls' games. They find them boring. They've been, how do I say? They've been exposed to sensationalized violence already. And that type of thing kind of honestly fries your attention deficit, or not attention deficit, but your attention span. I feel like it can cause attention deficit, or is a part of that somehow. And not only that, but it creates a lack of empathy within you. as well as, everything needs to be violent in order for it to be fun and exciting. And girls' games are quite the opposite, usually leaning towards themes of fashion or repetitive work. And as some call it, the cozy gaming genre features a lot of this, like farm work. That's a very popular trope in girls' gaming, quote unquote girls' gaming. I feel like a lot of people do consider games like Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley, farming sims basically, to be girls' games because the majority of the player base of these games are indeed women. It's the same thing with The Sims being considered a girlfriend game. Everyone's girlfriend plays The Sims. Me personally, I've done it a few times. I'm acting like this is a crime. I have played The Sims a few times. It's enjoyable. I can't play it that much where it gets a little nauseating and a little disorienting. Almost like detachment and a god complex starts to come on when you're playing the Sims. But I do understand how these games are more popular for women. These are concepts that women enjoy more and are socialized to enjoy. That's why there's not many female-centered or, how do I say, shooter games, for instance, that are intended for a female audience. Except for maybe Nike. I feel like that's one of the rare exceptions, but I don't think it was intended for women to like it, but a lot of women like it. But I think there just needs to be more of a demand. But how do we get that demand? How do we get... The only way would be getting women to stop playing games and engaging in media that is targeted towards men. Because if you did that, then there would be a gap in the market. Well, now we have to make content marketed towards women. You would basically have to segregate on a cultural scale media by gender, including video games. And this wouldn't work out very well because not all women like girly things. That's not how it works. They're not all going to want to switch over from playing their games that are intended to be for men to switch for games intended for women. Not every woman's going to want to do that. And I respect that. You shouldn't have to do that for them to make games for girls who want to play girly games. That shouldn't have to be the solution. The other solution in my mind is that men are more open to playing girly games. But this would take an upheaval of a patriarchal culture that would just be too much work. It'd be too much effort and it would take far too much time. And I don't see that happening relatively soon, or any time relatively soon. So it seems like both of our options are pretty exhausted. And that's why I don't see much hope in the revival of girls' gaming. I don't see much hope in it at all. New games are being made targeted for a male and, in my opinion, what's the word for it? Unisex audience day by day. There are more and more games coming out for unisex audience, which basically means made for men, but women will play it and enjoy it if that's something that they like. They will try it out. Meanwhile, for girls gaming, that's not a thing. Men are not going to check out a girls game unless they have previously indulged in something like that, or they have feminine interests, which is totally valid. But the problem is that's not really how it works. The only exception I've really seen is the surge in people playing Dress to Impress in, I think it was the summer of 2024. Ooh-wee. Where there were even top male streamers like iShowSpeed, and is Queso's username Queso? Or is it just Queso? But iShowSpeed and Queso playing Dress to Impress for their audience who are a majority male. And I'm sure that a bunch of women tuned in on those days to watch their streams, which also led in a spike of viewer diversity for them. Except maybe not Queso, but I don't know if I can really guess what their analytics really look like. Because you would be surprised. But I guess what I'm saying here is it takes a whole lot for a girls' game to become popular worldwide. The only examples I've really seen in recent years has been, of course, Dress to Impress. And then I don't want to say its predecessor because it really has nothing to do with Dress to Impress, but Infinity Nikki, which is from a collection of girls' games called the was it Dress Up Nikki? Nikki Dress Up Darling series, I believe it's called. It was a series of dress up games. They were all mobile games, but the Infinity Nikki game, that is a game that is not only mobile but available on the PS5 and Xbox. It is Infinity Nikki, or rather, the Nikki series' first open world fashion video game, and it's truly quite a lot of fun. It became popular all around the world for all genders and all ages, and it's pretty easy to enjoy it free to play, which is not the case with Dress to Impress, which is a Roblox fashion game that went super viral, I believe in 2024, and I wouldn't say has been going strong. I feel like has been having a strong decline recent days. I still play it, but it really is play to win or pay to win. You have to put a lot of your money into the game if you actually want to enjoy it, which is a pitfall of the game, unfortunately. But it also is the nature of Roblox game development. They're not really getting paid as much as you think. So you have to keep that in mind. But that's another thing to consider with girls' media. It's incredibly low budget. It seems like there's an unlimited budget for games that have the intended audience of young men or boys. Meanwhile, when it comes to girls gaming, there's seemingly no budget or quite a small budget. And if one game doesn't perform well, the company who is supplying the budget will dip out. I've seen this happen a lot with games made by Mattel. Mattel will make tons and tons of games that are low performing for boys and make one game for girls that is low performing and then never make a game again. I've seen this happen with so many companies, even companies that main success has to do with girls' toys, like Mattel with Barbie and Monster High. Those were probably their top products, and the majority of consumers were young girls aged like literally from birth to even adulthood, as many. And I'm not going to say all of them are autistic, but a lot of autistic grown women collect Barbie dolls and Monster High dolls. And even non-autistic people, I'm sure. I just feel like that's what I've seen with a lot of autistic women. As an autistic woman myself, I really do like dolls, but not enough to collect them at the moment as I have nowhere to put them. But I think only one series really cashed in the coin when it came to being a really prolific, well done girls gaming series. Now, this is a game that was available on the original Nintendo DS system as well as the 3DS. Now, the first game, Style Savvy, was simply the first game. It was a DS game. You can still play it on 3DS. It is the pixelated predecessor of the remaining 3 or 4, no, I think it's just 3, it could be 4 Style Savvy games that came afterwards. So the Style Savvy original, it was a little clanky, it was a little underdone, I would say, but it was a really monumental game in girls gaming history. It had 3 releases: the USA, the UK and Europe release, and the Japan release. It was called Style Savvy in the United States. It was called, I believe, Style Boutique in Europe and the UK. And it was called Girls Mode in Japan. But the game was the same all around in all 3 regions. However, the game was pretty simple. It's basically a boutique simulator. You're a manager of a boutique, and this is the same thing in every single Style Savvy game. You enter a new town, you get dropped in a new town, you're traveling. As soon as you reach this new town, someone that you know gives you a boutique, leaves it in your name, retires and gives you a boutique for you to run. You become the manager, and then you have to match certain, well, how would I say this? You have to, with your customers, match what you think their style is to an item or a whole outfit they ask you to make. And you have to guess basically based off of how they're already dressed or their demeanor. There are assigned brands for assigned fashion styles. And the names of these brands change between every different Style Savvy game, so it doesn't really matter. But I'll give you a rundown of the styles that you'll see in almost every Style Savvy game. And the names change, but these are the basic ones. So you have Pop or Lively, which is a very colorful early Harajuku Fruits magazine type of style, if that's the way that I would describe it. Then we have Feminine, which is a grown-up version of Girly. Girly exists, which is of course, more youthful version of Feminine with ruffles and lace and polka dots and all kinds of things of that nature. Then you have Boho, which is, I would say, a lot of Native American and cowboy-esque motifs. A lot of feathers, a lot of crochet, a lot of beige. It's very Coachella. And then you have as well, you have the punk rock style, which is very self-explanatory. And you have Gyaru. Gyaru is a part of all of these games, but it's pretty much one type of Gyaru, which is the very bold side. This style is called bold, and it's featured in every single game. And then there's also basic, which is self-explanatory. And there's a Lolita section. Don't forget about the Lolita section. That is one of my favorite styles in the game because you get a lot of really nice accessories. And you also have an academic style as well as an Asian-inspired style. Now, every single customer has their own assigned style. Sometimes they'll interchange styles and ask you for a whole different type of outfit, which is really fun because it keeps some momentum going. It doesn't get as repetitive. One girl who dresses in a basic style might come in one day asking for a Lolita style or lively pop style, and it's very engaging and fun. It keeps it from being mundane. So I think a lot of thought was put into the gameplay and the quality of life. You also get all the clothes that you buy for your boutique delivered to your home. And this happens in every single game, I think, except for the original Style Savvy. Now, I've been playing a lot of these games recently. I've played every single one, all four, as of recently, all three, which is Style Savvy Fashion Forward, Style Savvy Styling Star, Style Savvy Trendsetters. Is there another one? There might be another one. But I've been playing them emulated on my iPad. And just to get a feel of the games and to play through them and to kind of express my style in a way that costs no money, is fun, is stimulating for my brain, has problems where I have to make a solution. That's what I've been using Style Savvy for. But my one regret is it's one of the only well-developed girls' fashion games of that era, or any era, in my opinion. And I don't think that it should be that limited because the rest of the games are going to be increasingly hard for me to access. You're not going to be able to emulate a lot of the games, at least not through the iPad version of emulation. What is available. You're not going to find a lot of fashion or girls games that were lost to the obscurity of a lack of viewership or a lack of purchases, as a lot of these games are pretty much decades old. So for me to be able to find a lot of these games in the first place to play them is going to be nearly impossible because there's not much of a demand. So even during the time that it was released, nobody bought it. So I can't even play it. The way that this results is that the majority of girls' games that have existed remain unplayable as they have been completely lost to obscurity. So women have to play games over and over again that, haven't been lost to obscurity, that were popular enough to where at least you can emulate them. And even the emulation is poor and choppy. It's just a shame that women have to, or at least women with girly and more feminine interests and hobbies, have to settle for repetitively playing the same games over and over again and engaging in the same media over and over again. A lot of it very low quality in order to indulge in that hobby of girly things. While it seems like for men and boys, there's an unlimited amount of media, content, games made just for them, primarily to fit to their interests and what they naturally like. And it doesn't seem fair to me that their media should be the standard, making girls' media not even a standard, more likely to make girls' media extinct, to not even exist. When media for women and girls, especially women and girls with, interests in girly things, when that doesn't exist because the world doesn't care about women who like girly things for some odd reason, or the world doesn't care about women or feminine things, it just leaves a sour taste in the mouth of the women that do like those things and know why it's not being replenished, know why they're not making new things for us, know why they don't care about us, know that they don't care about us. And I don't think it's a thing of wanting to enforce gender roles. I just think it's a thing that, why can men express boyish interests and it's not misogynistic? Well, if a woman expresses a girlish interest, it's misogynistic. It's not only just misogynistic, it's feeding into misogyny, and it's setting women back a million years when it's simply just begging and pleading for a good game that's centered around a girly interest for the first time in 20 years. But I think that's where I'm going to leave it off for this episode. I really enjoyed talking to you guys about girls' game and the surprising lack of girls' media, just in general in the world. That was fun to talk about. I do want to say thank you so much for all the support. I'm almost at 2,000 subscribers here on YouTube, which I've been working really hard in the background and thinking about it a lot. So I really do appreciate all the support, all the comments, all the likes, all the subscribes. Thank you. Because it's going to help me continue on this path of doing YouTube and talking and doing all this stuff. So it's really fun. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Makes me happy. But I guess I'm going to end it off here. Like, comment, and subscribe. There are new videos in the works besides the Yapologies. It's just that the Yapologies, the weeks fly by, and then I'm back at Yapology all over again. But some new videos are definitely coming out. Look out for those. Some great new episodes of Yapology 101 will be coming out with some special guests. And I guess I want to say, if you care about girls' media, what you can do is advocate for it, talk about it, play girls' games, get acquainted with it, even if you're not a girl, see, maybe you might enjoy more feminine interests and hobbies. But I guess this is where I'm going to leave you. Thank you again, and I'll see you next episode.